That's dope.
Welcome to Top 10 Beyond the Screen. I'm your host, Johnny Rogers, and in today's video, we'll be breaking down all the Marvel actors who people have claimed were difficult to work with. But before we get into that, if you don't want to miss another video from us, make sure you tap that subscribe button to join our notification squad. Now, without any further delay, let's get right into today's list, the Top 10 Marvel actors who are hard to work with, Part 2. In at number 10, Robert Downey Jr. This point may be a bit different than the rest of these Marvel actors. Although Robert had a long history of being wild and difficult to work with, his Marvel days were rather tame. In fact, he has been praised for just how easy he is to work with. Although if you're an executive at Disney, you may not view him in the same light as his fellow actors. Robert is a stark defender of equal pay in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When he saw his paycheck, he advocated that the other actors get paid more, because he really didn't like the vast disparity between what they were getting paid. He even made a very public stink about just how underpaid his co-workers were, and said that most were only making a fraction of his salary. While the bad publicity may have helped them even out the pay, it certainly put him on the Disney exec's bad side. In at number 9, Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones has been around Hollywood for a very long time, and his acting chops and charismatic on-screen performances have made him a staple in the industry. Although he has been known to be a bit of an on-set bully as well. According to Jim Carrey, Tommy was verbally threatening people left, right, and center while filming Batman Forever. In terms of the Marvel Universe, Tommy Lee Jones played the role of Colonel Phillips in Captain America: The First Avenger. In his defense though, Jones managed to keep his anger under wraps while filming and overall didn't cause too much of a stir while on set. However, if you listen to anyone that's worked with him prior to the MCU, they really found him to be difficult to work with. In at number 8, Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving played a pivotal role in the MCU when he joined as the evil character called Red Skull. Although when it came time to reprise his role in Avengers Endgame, he noted that negotiations with Marvel proved to be impossible. Most actors that first negotiate contracts with Marvel executives were told that they were obligated to do at least 3 films, but that the pay would slowly raise with each one. However, Hugo noted that when it came to starring in the Avengers, his pay grade was far less than what he had received for the first one, and then he wasn't even offered any more films following that. He continued by saying, "They said it's just a voice job, it's not a big deal. I actually found negotiating with them through my agent impossible, and I didn't really want to do it that much, but I would have done it." The problem with that statement is that Hugo has been very open about just how much he hates doing voiceover roles. Especially when he voiced Megatron in the Transformers movie, he said it felt empty and meaningless. In at number 7, Stellan Skarsgård. Stellan is perhaps one of the most famous Norwegian actors in the world today and is very well trained thespian in the Dogma 95 style. According to his co-workers though, he is notorious for pranking people, and apparently he has leveraged his intimidating accent and dramatic flair to outright scare his co-stars beyond belief. He actually managed to coerce actor Paul Bettany to work with him in the film Dogville, a film for which Bettany refers to as a disgusting experience and compared Stellan's acting process to torture. When it came time to film the Avengers, Stellan was very outspoken about how he felt lost amongst the superheroes. He told interviewers that he didn't know how they were going to cram all of them into one movie and still have a story that actually moves forward. Whoa, I bet the executives didn't like that press. In at number 6, Finn Jones. Finn Jones was the star of Marvel's Iron Fist, and while he was fairly easy to work with in regards to the day-to-day acting, it became more of a scripting issue than anything else. According to his co-workers on the show though, he just didn't have any real chemistry with any of them, which included his real-life friend Jessica Henwick, who played the show's love interest Colleen Wing. This lack of chemistry most definitely shows up on screen, and this actually is the reason the show received so much backlash from fans. They were certainly upset with the casting decision for Finn as the title character Danny Rand. This lack of simple human on-screen connection with his fellow actors made it very difficult to produce news stories surrounding him. In at number 5, Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis is without a doubt the king of motion capture performances, beginning with his roles as Gollum, King Kong, and Caesar in the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. This style of acting can be extremely difficult because, well, behind the scenes it feels incredibly silly, but because he has learned to trust his acting skills, he has leveraged himself into some very big movies. More recently, his villainous role in the Avengers Age of Ultron and Black Panther. Although this has always been a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and as such he has carried this with him to each project every time. Most notably was the squabbles that he had with Marvel's graphic and CGI designers. Apparently he had been very rude and dismissive to them, even though he was simply the actor that was cast in the role based on his stellar previous performance performances. Since being labeled a king of that genre, his ego has just gotten far too out of hand, and therefore Andy believes that he always knows best. In at number 4, Corey Stoll. While some of these Marvel actors have been hard to work with because of executives getting in the way and others with their diva-like behavior, Corey Stoll falls into the pretentious category. Corey Stoll plays the villain Darren Cross in Ant-Man, and while promoting the film, he had been known to hijack the interviews to spout the limitations of his art form and the emptiness of politics. Most of the films that he's done in the past never really had a chance to hit the public first without Corey adding in some liberal bias and defaming reflections to the characters that he's played. Apparently, he has a very bad habit of expressing just how disappointed he was with production, and as I said, most of the time this took place before the film ever was even released, which for sure puts executives on edge when thinking about casting him in their films. In at number 3, Stan Lee. Now, don't get your panties in a bunch. I love Stan Lee as much as the next person, and without him we wouldn't even be talking about Marvel. That being said, Stan had a long history of being extremely difficult to work with and for. He has a very checkered past when it comes to his history as a writer and comic book publisher. Most notably was his very public feuds with Jack Kirby, which put the legacies and rights of the characters into a tailspin. Thankfully, all of his cameos in each of the Marvel films were so minuscule that he never really had an opportunity to stir up any controversy while on set. However, if he had been on longer than just a few days, there's no telling what kind of drama Mr. Lee could have started. That being said, rest in peace, we love you forever, Stan Lee. In at number 2, Tom Holland. Also known as the king of spoilers, we have the young addition to the Marvel Universe, aka the new Spider-Man, who should most definitely be renamed to Spoiler Man. Perhaps the funniest and most upsetting moment for Tom's co-stars was when he did a live stream of him opening a package from Mark Ruffalo. As he pulled out the poster for the unannounced Avengers Endgame, it clearly said on the pack, "Confidential, do not share." Yet it wasn't until Tom flipped the page around that he realized the amount of trouble that he had just caused for everyone at Marvel Studios. Following this, almost all of his interviews were paired up with an adult just in case he began to spill the beans. Last but certainly not least, in our number 1 spot, James Spader. Another man that went under some motion capture drama was actor James Spader, who delivered an exceptional performance as Ultron. During an interview with Rolling Stone, James admitted that he has a very strong obsessive compulsive issue, and because of this is very particular with filming. Multiple actors who have worked with him in the past, such as William Shatner, recall that James doesn't even like watching people eat. Maggie Gyllenhaal also admitted that because he always remains in character, he can be extremely difficult to be around. Even the showrunner for the show The Blacklist alleged that he had to speak with Spader on the phone daily because he was always having an issue with scripts. On one occasion, he said, "On Thanksgiving when I was in Colorado, I was out pacing on the phone for 2 hours. This stuff keeps him up at night. He can dig his heels in, the conversations can be frustrating." Can't even imagine. With that, let's check out some of your comments from the video titled Top 10 TV Shows That Got Banned from Netflix. Chaz Burkhalter says, "I watched Golden Girls too and I'm under 40. It's awesome and I would binge watch it." Oh, trust me. I grew up watching the show and I couldn't agree more. Jail Soyombo says, "The Golden Girls would be watched by many. I grew up in the 80s and I adored that show. I've watched every episode and I would rewatch them a 5th time if I could." You know what to do, Netflix. That's 2 already in favor of the Golden Girls making a comeback. Betty White was such a savage. Becky420 says, "I'm 41 and I would binge the hell out of the Golden Girls." Yes, that marks 3. Rosemary Key says, "Hey, I'm only in my early 50s and I love Golden Girls." Okay, I'll be honest. I just went through the comments and found all the Golden Girls fans just so I could feature you all because I found it amazing that like 80% of the people were like, "Why is Golden Girls banned from Netflix?" Alright, next comment. Kyla Runyon says, "I'm 26 and I love the Golden Girls." Check and mate, Netflix. The BTS community has wholeheartedly decided that we want the Golden Girls back. Bring them back. I don't think they were ever there. Bring them back. And that has been the top 10 Marvel actors who are hard to work with part 2. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to our editors for all of your hard work. If you enjoyed this video, then please show us some love here by tapping that like and subscribe button. Plus, don't forget to leave us your comments down below with your thoughts on today's list. And for more videos like this one, all you gotta do is tap that playlist when it pops up. From top 10 beyond the screen, my name is Johnny Rogers, saying until next time, stay classy.